Hello, this is Chidi from UrBizEdge, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to use data cleaning techniques using VBA. So before I go on, I want to say that we're partnered with the Financial Modeling Institute. If you want to differentiate yourself with a financial modeling certificate that is highly sought after in the finance space, it's best to go towards this institute and try to complete their tests and assignments in order to get their certifications. Again, it's probably one of the finance community's most sought after certificates. So as I said before, they're the most respected accreditations in financial modeling. If you want to distinguish your skills, elevate your career, join the premium global network of financial modelers. So we actually offer help and support in completing the Advanced Financial Modeler exam. So that's the level 1. And it's highly sought after as well. If you really want to improve your financial modeling techniques, it's one of those exams you should take. It's a 3-hour exam in which you have to build you have to build a 3-statement model within 3 to 4 hours and build it very quickly. So if one wants to elevate their skills, increase their career goals, I'd say go for this course, and we offer it here at UrBizEdge. So about us, UrBizEdge is a registered Microsoft Excel consulting, financial modeling, business intelligence, data analysis, and enterprise solutions firm in Nigeria. We specialize in helping companies and high-value professionals be the top of their business data. So we have first Microsoft's most valuable person in Nigeria and an approved training provider for the AFM, Advanced Financial Modeler Certificate. So we also teach people how to use Excel and other different data analysis tools as well. And right here this Sunday, we're here to really put a spotlight on Nigeria's working professionals. So before going into our courses, I want to say why we're here this Sunday again, to put a spotlight on Nigeria working professionals, to allow people to showcase their skills, learn things from one another, and also to further improve our networking as well. We're all professionals here. We're all working professionals that use all these business data analysis techniques. Why not come together and try to improve our skills, talk, network, and become better? So now I'm going to go into our courses. So on the 10th of March, on a Friday, we have in-depth Excel training, executive dashboards, and business data analysis. So if you want to improve your data analysis skills in Excel, if you want to learn how to build really nice executive dashboards that can really impress your colleagues and your bosses, this is definitely a course to take. Then we have big data analysis, Power Query, Power Pivot, and VBA in Excel. So if you really want to take your Excel skills to the next level, and if you really want to really impress your bosses, really impress your colleagues with your Excel skills and knowledge, this is definitely one to take. Most Excel courses really stop before Power Query or VBA, but this course is the one to take if you really want to go beyond and excel in Excel. So if you really want to learn how to code, how to do more automation in Excel, if you didn't know that VBA was the language in Excel, and you want to know more about it, how to automate tasks and work very, very quickly, you should definitely take this course as well, starting at the 3rd of March. Hey guys. We also have business intelligence and dashboards using Microsoft Power BI. So Power BI is exploding all over the world, especially in Nigeria. More and more people are learning how to use it. If you really want to differentiate yourself in the marketplace and really gain an edge, Power BI is the course to take. Now on the 7th of March, Tuesday, we have Python for data analysis. Python is used all over the world by different organizations over the world as well. If you really want to, again, differentiate yourself, or if you want to do it for yourself, you want to say build your own projects, your own software as a hobby, or to break into the professional field, into a profession that uses Python regularly. This is also a course for you. If you're a beginner, if you're an expert and really want to touch up on your skills, this is definitely a course to take. Now, my name is Chidi Anyanwu. I'm a young professional with a strong interest in finance. I specialize in Microsoft Excel, financial modeling, business intelligence, data analysis, and enterprise solutions. I'm well versed in VBA, Pinescript, Python, and DAX. I've been creating trading strategies and custom indicators for a while, and as of the moment, I am a financial and data analyst in this organization, UrBizEdge. So let's get straight into it. So this is a simple introduction to VBA. So VBA stands for Visual Basic for Applications. It's a programming language that's used to automate and customize Microsoft Office applications such as Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and Access. It's based on the Visual Basic program and it's integrated into the Office applications. It's used to automate repetitive tasks. VBA can be used to automate tasks that would otherwise be tedious and time-consuming to do manually. It increases productivity by automating the tasks. VBA can help you work more quickly and accurately. So with VBA, you can really all those repetitive tasks that you have to do by hand, you can really code it up using VBA, and it's very, very simple to start, but it gets difficult over time learning it. That's somewhat the difference between VBA and Python. Python is very difficult to learn at the start, but it gets easier over time. VBA very, very easy to learn. It's not a difficult language to pick up and learn very quickly. All you have, because at the end of the day, you're just manipulating cells, and if you're familiar with Excel, you have to be familiar with cells, because those are all the things that you manipulate using formulas or dragging it across the screen and so on and so forth. So VBA is just doing that really with words. So it's very easy to understand at the very, very start, especially with things such as record macro and other things like that. But over time, it does get a little bit difficult. That's what Python has over it as well. But everything has its advantages and disadvantages. VBA is still the used language inside Excel. So if you want to automate tasks, VBA should be the one you should use. But Python, you can also use Python to do it as well. So it can also customize Office applications. VBA can be used to create custom functions, menus, and toolbars that are tailored to your specific needs. So the basic structure of a VBA program. A VBA program consists of modules, which are collections of code. Modules can be created and edited using VBA Editor, which is built into the Office applications. A module can contain one or more procedures, which are blocks of code that perform a specific task. Procedures can be triggered by events such as clicking of a button or opening a workbook. So you can really set up your. Let me just explain modules real quick. So modules are places that hold your code. So if you can think of a module as sort of a book and procedures as the chapters. So a procedure has all your lines of code within it, and all your procedures are placed within a book called modules. Once we open Visual Basic, you'll be able to see this happen, and you'll probably be able to understand it a lot easier. So VBA module procedures, module and procedures is how VBA just collects its code. So in conclusion, VBA is a powerful tool that can help you automate tasks, increase productivity, and customize Office applications. Again, learning VBA can be very challenging. Later on, at the very start, it's very, very easy, but later on it does get a little bit challenging, but the use cases are still very, very large. You can use VBA to send messages. You can use VBA to open documents, close documents. You can use VBA to collect things from different websites. VBA is a very powerful language, but it is difficult to use over time. But it's still very powerful, and if you wanted to stick with VBA, you probably could. But there are many resources available to help you get started, such as UrBizEdge. We passed over the course there recently that shows you how to get started with VBA. So with practice and persistence, you can be proficient in VBA and use it to create solutions that will save you time and effort in your work. I hope this helps. you create a great presentation on VBA. So now for the rest of the webinar, we'll be using VBA with some very powerful tools, or very powerful, very popular tools in Excel to show you the stark difference in preparation. But once finished, I hope you'll find that VBA is a lot more faster and efficient. And once you cross said hurdle, that, it's that hurdle between using functions and manipulating cells manually to jumping and using it in code and VBA. I say once you jump that hurdle, I hope you'll find that VBA is very fast, very efficient, and easy to use, and you can really speed up your work and become more efficient in your workplace. So that's the end. Alright, so we're going to quickly run through how to make VLOOKUP using VBA and VLOOKUP using formula. So right now I'm going to quickly go through how to use VLOOKUP in the formula. We simply get the lookup value, which is to the right here. We then get our table array, which is right here. And we then look for our column index number. So we're going to look for sector. Sector is number 3 in this array, 1, 2, 3, or in this range. So its column index number is number 3. So we're going to put number 3 here as well. And we're going to close it. And we're also going to use some $signs so everything stays the way it is. So I don't want my lookup array to be changing anywhere. I want it to stay exactly where it is. Done. Energy numbers. And that's our entire sector. So we're going to do the same thing for VBA now. It may take a little bit of time at the start, but once it's made, it's very easy to reuse and do over and over again. So we're going to go to our developer tab, we're going to go to Visual Basic, and then we're going to insert what we talked about earlier, something called a module. Now the module is sort of like the book that holds all our code, and the procedure are all the chapters that hold the code. So we're going to call this line of code just fully VLOOKUP VBA. And now we're going to start. So first off, I always start with the following, just because I never really know where I'm going to go with some code. So I'm always starting with these first lines of code, which is dim row 1 as integer, then I'm going to copy and paste this, then row 2 as integer, then column 1 as integer, and then column 2 as integer. So column 1, then we're going to dim column 2, and what dim does is that it states that column 1, or row 1 is a number. So later on during our code, if I ever want to use row 1 and say row 1 is value 2, 3, or 4, I'm just telling VBA to remember that this is a number. And this variable here, if I want to use column 1, is a number as well. That's all I'm telling VBA to basically remember. And now we're just going to go straight into it. So first we're going to look at our filter table. So sometimes I have an idea of what I'm going to do next, other times I sort of don't. But the best thing I normally do is just anything I feel like I need in real time here that I'm going to need in order to make this filter table work, I'll just make it. So, and make sure you separate everything. Make sure that your code is very easy to understand, very easy to read, so you know that everything that you're using for your filter table is up here, and everything that you're using for anything else is down there. So let's start with row 1. Row 1 is equal to selection.row. So selection.row is, what I'm doing right here is the selection. Whatever I select, I want to get the row number of that. So selection.row basically does just that. So selection.row. So I'm going to go to the immediate window. The immediate window is a nice way to practice some code. You can look, if you want to open an immediate window yourself, all you have to do is click view and press on immediate window, and this thing will come up. It's a nice little way to practice some code to make sure it's working. So let's go selection.row, and I'm simply going to say range K1 equals selection.row. And what this will do, K1 is equal to range K1 value is equal to selection.row. And what this will quickly do is that, see, number 3. Which row am I on? 1, 2, 3. You see that? That's number 3 right there. So I'm getting the selection.row of my selection. Normally, in this filter, I'm going to be clicked here inside of this range right here, and that before I start the code. So I'd like to get the row number of that. I don't know if I want to further manipulate later, but it's nice to know sometimes. So row 2, I'm going to let that equal selection dot end Excel now bracket dot row. So what this basically does is that it puts my selection and does this command control down, and this will get me the last row in my filter row. So again, it's something I feel like I definitely will use later when I want to further manipulate it. So if I want to practice it here, I can simply just say selection dot and Excel down dot row. Quickly use it now. So if I wanted to press it here, so selection dot end down. Now let's get the column as well. So column 1 is equal to selection dot column. And if I got the selection of the column, it will also get me the column number here, which should be like 17 or 18 or so. But I want also, so that's what I'm going to use here right now. So I'm going to go selection.column for column 1. So if I even put it here, you'll definitely see it in real time working. That selection of column, that's the column number 13 and 13. Perfect. So I'm going to column 2 is equal to selection of column. Selection.column with selection.offset 0 column. What offset basically does is that it offsets the collection by 1. So it offsets whatever you select by 1. So if once your selection is here, it moves it 0 rows. So start from rows. I want it to move by 0 rows, no rows, and just move 1 to the right. So move 1 to the right and get me what column number? It'll get me column number 14, and that's right beside them. So 13, 14, done. So that's the next one there. And now we want to get the headers of our filter table. We feel like that would be important next. So let's focus on the headers of our filter table. So the headers are these two things here. So let me get the row and the column number first. So if I want to get header row, is equal to selection dot current region dot rows to dot row. Is equal to cells header row column 1. So this will get me. So what this current region does is that whatever I select, it will collect the entire range. So it will give this entire range as a reference point. And now once it's a reference point, I'm simply going to go with rows, and I'm saying for rows, and I'm referencing all the rows, give me row number 2. So give me this row here. And then I want to collect the row number, so I'm going to collect the row number of that using full stop rows. So rows will give me all the rows of the reference, and then I'm going to index it using number 2, and I'm going to get the row number of that. So next I'm going to go with header filter 1. So I'm going to say, alright, so this is my header here for my first this is my first header here for filter 1, and now I'm going to get my second header. I'm just labeling everything just so in case I need something there, I can just refer to these things now. So header filter 2. So let's go around. Column 2. See, I'm using that column 2 in real time over here. So now I'm going to get instead of this header, I'm getting the price, so offset the button, I'm getting the price here. And now I'm going to go to start underscore float. So this is for all my manipulations. So this I want to get this here. So once I want to get price of my first item here, which is Microsoft Corporation. I don't want to get the price of a company because it's terrible. So I'm going to start here. So I want to get my start field, which is sales header underscore row. So I already know the header row here is 2. So I'm just going to add 1 to it. Just a quick way to do it. Just add 1, which is 3. And I'm going to get column 1. So my column 1 is here. As you can already remember, my selection is right here. So I'm just simply getting this column right here. And then I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm going to start out for each loop range. So we're going to be making 2 loops later. So I want to define or set the range loop that I will be using to collect all the prices. So this is equal to range. So bracket header row plus 1, column 1. I already think you guys know what I'm referencing at that point. So I'm basically just using this header filter 1. And then I'm going to say sales row 2, column 1. Perfect. Also to know that all your code is okay, if it changes from like lowercase to uppercase for every single first letter, your code is somewhat okay, somewhat able to run. But you might face some issues down the road later. So now I want to loop for I. So I told you we're doing 2 loops. One loop is for our range loop here, and the next loop is when we're looping for I. So for that, I'm going to need the top row of the top row and the bottom row. So I'm going to need header row underscore row as the top, just 1. So if you remember this, I want to get the top row here and the bottom row. So why don't I just use, I'm going to remind myself to use row 2. Because row 2 is that bottom row right there. So I need the integer, I don't need the cell itself. So that's why I'm not using header field. I need the integer, I need it as a number. So that's why I'm just using header row plus 1. It's 4, it's 3. So it'll make sense when I'm using it later. And now I'm going to separate this out so I know that this is everything I sort of need, all the information I need for my filter table right here. So if I want to go up and see if there's anything wrong with my filter table or if I'm referencing anything wrong, I'll simply go up here. Now I'm going to go into my data set variables. and start again. So we're gonna go I'm just using this just to separate everything, you know? So I know my filter tables here, my data set variables here, and I can simply just go, alright. So it's definitely good practice to set all your variables at the very start, what you want it to be. But you know, it's good practice to do that first, you know, to get your head thinking as to what you might need later on. But you know, you can also do it not in the middle of the code, but let's say you're starting off something new, you can also do it here as well. But I say it's always best practice to start at the very top. So I'm going to then header one row as integer. I'm definitely going to need, so this is our data set. So I'm not looking at the filter table anymore, I'm looking at this. So I definitely know I'm going to need the header of this anyways. So I'm going to try to grab that as integer. So then so underscore as range. And I'm going to then header underscore column as integer. Then we're going to go with data set right here. Header one row is equal to cells current dot rows. So I'm just defining what this, remember head one row is now a number, so I'm just getting my row number up here. So I'm going cells 1, 1. If you always have a data set, it's always nice to put it in the first row, first column, just because it's easier to manipulate, it's easier to reference. So you can use this as sort of like, some people use this as an anchor for all their other manipulation. But you know, it's always nice to have like the very top, very left corner. So now I'm going to get my header column as well. So my header column is going to be equal to, so this isn't this header column here, this is something different. So I'm going to get cells 1, 1 dot current region dot column count. So what this basically does is that it counts all the columns for me. So once I get cells 1 and I get current region, I'm now referencing this entire data set here. And then I'm going to get columns, so I'm referencing all the columns in this data set. And now I'm going to count all the columns right there. And that is done. So after that, the header column, we then move on to our range loop for our data set. So I'm going to set range loop for our data set. So I'm going to say range cells header 1 row comma 1 then cells into it header 1 row comma header column. Now I hope you can see how all that is being brought together. So set range loop to range cells header 1 row and one. So it's header 1 row and header column. Now for each cell in range loop D, so for each cell in range loop D, now I want to get the column number of price. So now that I have these two references, well, I want to get in this loop, in this range right here, what column number will price be at, or any value that I'm going to put here, what column number will it be at. So I'm going to quickly make a loop that will find it and set it, and then save it as header column. So I'm going to say I'm going to put an if statement here, if cell, I believe I start, so if cell underscore, I believe I start with cell. So if, or let me start with underscore fills 2, header underscore fills 2, yeah. So if this value right here is equal to cell underscore dot value, so if this cell right here, header fill 2, is equal to or has the same value as this cell, so for each, so you gotta remember it's going for each cell, so for each cell in this range right here, if the header filter is equal to the cell value, then what do I want to do? I want to get the header column to be equal to cell underscore dot column. So now, as it's checking everything, once it gets to price, for example, it will save header column. I'm going to go down and say header column is equal to the cell column of price. So for its company, it will equal to the column of company. So it will just keep on checking until both of those ranges are equal to each other. Well, this one is 52-week low. So it'll keep on checking until both of those ranges are equal to each other. Then it will say, okay, 52-week low, header column, this variable here, is now equal to the column of this cell. And once we get that, we can then end if and then say next. So that's our first loop to get our header column. And our next loop is our so for I is equal to top underscore row to row 2. So remember our I loop right here. We got the top row, which is this header row plus 1. Again, I'm not looking for company here. I'm starting from here. So I added the header row that we used earlier and just added 1 to it. So we're starting from tree. So header row plus 1 to row 2. Row 2, remember we used that to get the bottom of this range right here. To get the bottom row of that range. So I is an integer. So I will change from for each loop. I will go from tree to whatever number this is now. I think this number will be 37. So from 3 to 37. For the next loop, I will change to 4. For the next loop, it will change to 5. I will be equal to 6, so on and so forth until it reaches 42. And once it reaches, 36. So once it reaches 36, the loop will end. So like if you're going to make a loop that will constantly change based on the row, which is here. Once it reaches this last row you want it to end, I is nice to use it. So let's go over worksheet. First, I'm just going to reference the sheet, just so I'm going to keep it at VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP says I, 2 dot value you see my first reference of this I right here shows that will always keep changing. So now this row here is going to be the row 3, column 2 over here. So this value is equal to, and now we start our worksheet.application application function function VLOOKUP and now we can probably start application. No, I think this is wrong here, so this goes application dot worksheet function. So worksheet VLOOKUP. So now, so this application of this application full stop worksheet function full stop VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP is a function inside of Excel. So if it's inside of Excel, you have to include this application worksheet function first. And this underscore here, think of this underscore more like a full stop, or it's something that just allows you to move on to the next sentence here. Because I don't want this just going all the way to the end of the screen here. I don't want it going all the way to the side, as it's nice to also break up your code so you know which one you're looking for. So now I know I'm going to be looking for the lookup value here. So I'm going to simply go lookup. I'm going to simply look for my lookup value, I, column 1, dot value. That's my lookup value. And then I'm going to also hit my comma, I'm going to say, or the full stop, and then start again. So worksheet very good. You look up so apologies. So worksheet VLOOKUP. I want to get the entire array. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to reference the entire region right here. That's the second thing we need for our VLOOKUP. I'm going to go with this. So worksheet VLOOKUP. So 1 region. And then we're going to go with header column. Remember, header column is where what we got. Let's get the column of whatever we're looking for. Let's go to 0. Bracket. Then I'm going to go next. I think that should be just everything. No, I'm going to go next I. So like I want to go to 3, I'm going to go to the next I, which is 4. I'm going to go to the next I, which is 5. And you can see all the rows that we want to change until we reach the end of the loop. We include it all here. So we got the row to reference this, a row to reference this, get the value of this. We have the current region, we have the column, everything we want to reference and move until we reach the end point of what we want to do for our loop is inside I. So now let's see if this will work. So let's play it. Actually not defined, so worksheet. Oh, okay. I believe it's supposed to be worksheets. There we go. So there we go. Let's see, there's always going to be a little bit of hiccups here and there. So just a little bit of misspelling here and there, so I've got on the end there. I've got to say, hey, I'm getting the row number of this here. So that's it. So if we change it here, we can get the price. Apologies, we have to start here. So we'll get the price. Let's do it again. 52-week low. Let's I have to change it here. So we have to, I just remember that, all our reference is based on this selection, so we have to always move it here. So move it like so. There we go. And now if we want to create a button, so we can do this a little bit faster. Say it's VLOOKUP VBA. Okay. Call it VLOOKUP. Confirm. So click the button. 52 rows set there. Click the button. There we go. And price. There we go. So I guess there's definitely ways to make it so you don't have to click here. I can even think of a couple right now. But since we're running out of time, this is just a quick example. You can definitely make it a little bit more dynamic, or even say, hey, every time I move this, this will change as well. Put the VBA based on this cell change anytime you move a cell here, and so the VBA will just run based on it. So that's it for the most part. So now we're going to go straight into XLOOKUP, and XLOOKUP is very similar to VLOOKUP. So my favorite part of VBA, my favorite part of coding VBA is when we can copy and reuse old pieces of code to make something similar. So VLOOKUP is very similar to XLOOKUP. So I'm just going to insert another procedure, or we can call it another chapter, and simply say XLOOKUP underscore VBA. And then we can grab this. Since I know most of it will be the same, there will be some changes here and there, but I definitely know for the most part, most of the variables that we need will be the same. So I think there will be some changes near the end, such as, let me try to remember now. So we will get, so we have all that. We have everything we need here. Our filter comments, the headers of the filter table here, nothing changed. We still need all this. Still need this for the lookup pi. Anything source extra that we need. Header 1 row, header column, range loop T. Now for each cell in range loop T, if header fills 2 is cell.value, we got header column here, and then we end if. Okay, so everything is almost exactly the same. I'd say we only need to change the functions a little bit, and maybe add, let me think. We'll add something here called data rows. So we're going to need to be able to count all the, rows in our data set this time. So we're going to go cells 1 row, current region, rows count. So we can save data rows or dim data rows as integer. Let's call it data underscore rows as integer. So now we have all the rows accounted for. Let me put this above this one too. All the rows in current region. I think that's the only thing extra we sort of need. So for each, then we get a header column, which is this. So yeah, that's pretty much everything we need from the round. So let's work on our worksheets now. So since the worksheet is still fairly similar, I'm just going to grab this, change it here. X lookup, then we have X lookup here, then X lookup respect, and then we'll have X lookup here. So we have we have all this X lookups accounted for here. And now we definitely know that what we're looking for is different to VLOOKUP as well. I just did this so we can just be a little bit faster. So, but I know our first value is going to be our lookup value. Then we're going to need our lookup array, which is now going to be this entire region right here. So our lookup array is going to be instead. So we're going to start off here. The only difference is we're going to say range cells header 1 row. So we're going to get the first row. Because our lookup array is this range 8, everything from the top to the end. That's our lookup array. Let me give you a quick example of how XLOOKUP works. Once I do this quickly. So from the header row, which is here, all the way to the bottom. Header row, which is here, and then we're going to say column 1. Yeah, we have column 1 there, so that's fine. And we're going to say cells, and we want to get it all the way to the bottom, so header column. So we're going to go, data rows. Then we're going to go with column 1. Perfect. And now we want to get our return array. So now we have our lookup value, our lookup array, and we want to get our return array, which is XLOOKUP full stop. I'm going to get rid of this anyways. Don't think we need that for this one. Alright, and let me just leave it all together. So we got cell header 1 plus 1 plus 1, and the only difference here is that we're going to get our header column here, which will give us our lookup array right here. And I think everything should work fine. Let's give it a quick look. So this is XLOOKUP here, and let me just do a quick preview of the formula before anything else. In case someone doesn't know XLOOKUP and what I was talking about earlier, we really need 4 variables: our lookup value, which is this. We will need our lookup array, which is this right here. Then we'll need our return array, which is going to be here. So we're looking at sector, which is going to be here. And then that's all we need. So with VLOOKUP, you're going to need, you have to reference everything by column number. With XLOOKUP, you can just grab the array yourself and really start playing with it. So that's it right there. That's XLOOKUP. Perfect. And we use $signs to keep the arrays just the way it is, no matter where it is in the data point, and that's perfect. So now we're going to do the same thing here for using VBA. So let's see if it works the first time. for, oh, I forgot my next I. So next I. There we go. Let's see if it works. Hold up. So I think I'm supposed to put header column here. I'm actually supposed to put header column here because I'm only referencing one column. So this is for our lookup array. So I'm only referencing one column, not the entire set. So let me see if it works now. There we go. So that will be let's look up. There we go. So that's perfect. Again, just something up with the function. I put the lookup array. Remember our lookup array. I put it as 1. So it's like I was grabbing this one value and going all the way down to our reference. And, I was grabbing this entire thing. Whereas with XLOOKUP, we just grab one column. So from the top to the bottom. So that's that one there, and that's our set. So that's what XLOOKUP now. It's 2 recount. XLOOKUP. There we go. Hold up. Perfect. And now let's just insert a button. I guess if we call this button, use XLOOKUP for it. I guess if we call this button XLOOKUP. That's perfect. So go here, move it, multi-capitalization, go here. Perfect. Now we're going to go straight into data cleaning errors. So this is for people who have to convert a lot of stuff from PDF to Excel, and I used to work in a place that we used to convert a lot of stuff from PDF to Excel, and there would always be a lot of problems with it as well. So there would always be letters in places where numbers are just not supposed to be. Letters in places in where numbers aren't supposed to be. So it would always be a switch, and it would be somewhat repetitive and annoying, going through it, and you'll be looking for B's, which you probably know will be number 8s. You'll be looking at O's inside of a number value, and you probably know that it's probably supposed to be 0. So you have all these like preconceived notions going in, like an I is supposed to be 2, and so on and so forth. So you have all these preconceived notions of what these values are probably more than likely supposed to be. And we can actually make a VBA code that can just quickly find and replace all these things and help you filter out, clean your data just a lot faster. So we can do that right now, and we can do that actually by simply first recording a macro and then making it just a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more helpful in pointing out all of these errors. So first I'm just going to say data non-errors clean. So I want you to clean all my numerical errors. And now I'm just going to say, okay, so let me come down here, right? And I can look at a number. I'll start from B and 8. So I'm going to find B and replace it with number 8. And then I'm going to place all. So I made all 4 placements in my selection. Come out and click, close, and I'm just going to start macro. So now let's make this a little bit more dynamic and easier to use. So we're going to go to our Visual Basic. It's inside our other module here. So open another book, call it module 2, and it saved it here. But I just want to keep everything in the same place. That's just me. So I'm just going to go to module 1 and quickly just put this here. So now all of this is, so this is our set procedure, but we want to make this a little bit more dynamic. So what we can do, of course, is we can always start with the first 4 teams I always start with. That I always feel like it makes it easier to just think your way through your problems, and that's with these 4 right here. So no matter what you're manipulating, you can always at least think about it when you know the first place you're probably selected. And then we're going to set something called, we'll actually do this later. Let's properly understand what's going on here first. So when we hit our find and replace, we did something like this. This was the code that was upgraded. Went selection.replace what B replacement A, and it has a whole bunch of other things here that we actually probably don't need, and will make our code run a little bit slower. So let's see what we can probably display. So if something is more than likely false, if we leave it out, VBA will just think that it's false. So we can probably leave out what was that before, that was a match case. We can probably leave that out. And then also we can go ahead and say search format. We'll probably leave this out as well. I said we can leave and replace format. And then formula version, we can leave that in too. So, and this was just me selecting that random cell during the end, so I can delete this as well. So now that all of this is deleted, let me see if it can still work. So let me look for any more B's. There's definitely some B's around. There we go. So even after all that, let's look for some more B's. There's some B's. Found it. There we go. It can still work. So if it can still work, we can still do what I love doing in VBA, copying and pasting. So we can grab this piece of code here and just copy and paste it. So here we go. Again, so this is what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about copying and pasting. If I have one good piece of code, just copying and pasting it all the time. I don't know if that's definitely not the best procedure. I'm sure that everywhere else they'll try to say if you're copying and pasting, you can probably do it in one line of code. But in VBA, since we're doing cell manipulation most of the time, if I have one line of code that works well, I'm just like, okay, let me just replicate it all the time and change the variables to what I need it to be. Alright, so sorry, it was almost out of charge. So let's see. So now let's choose all the things that we can actually predict. So S, if you're ever converting from PDF and you see S, like maybe S01.23 as a number value, you're probably going to presume that S is 5. You're probably going to presume a lowercase b is 6. You're probably going to presume an I is 1. You can also safely presume an L is 1. You can also probably presume an O is 0. And maybe presume that K is 4. But again, you'll be double checking some things, of course. You have to check if some values also total up as well. So this is just some of the safe presumptions. And K being 4 is actually a big one. So let me just say, if I find a space in between a few numbers, it probably forgotten that there was a decimal point there. Sometimes it's commas though. There's definitely a way that you can sort for this. There's definitely a way to do it, but in this short video, let's just say that there's a space there. It's a full stop. So now we can go for each. Now we can do our for each loop. But before we do that, again, I want to make this a little bit more dynamic here. And let's say I want to create something called a num-error range. So I can replace this with selection instead. So num-error range is equal to selection. So it's equal to range row 1 and column 1. So row 1 and column 1, and then cells row 2 and column 1. Perfect. So instead of selection dot replace, I'm gonna go with num-error dot replace. After num-error dot replace, we're going to simply say, alright, if we for each cell, so that's dim cell as range. So when we dim cell as range here, it won't say, if we don't describe what it is sometimes, it will also save it as a variant, and a variant means that it kind of gives VBA a choice of what to use it for. So if VBA has a choice, it will probably either choose the wrong one, or worse off, giving it that choice will also take a lot of space, it takes a lot of space, which will also slow your code down. So it's always nice most of the time now, it's always nice to explain to VBA what we're using. So for each cell for each cell in num-error, so what I'm trying to do here, so this operation has already begun, so I'm not doing anything here. So all of this has already happened within our range. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do something that will help us further find out which which um which letters have not been accounted for in our number error range. So I'm going to find out the cells that still have a letter inside them, but it wasn't inside of any of this. We couldn't account for it. So sometimes there could be a random letter that came up. Could have written something on the PDF. It could have been scrunched up. Could have had a mark on it that will leave a different letter value on it. So because of that, you probably want something that can, show you that, hey, this is still there. So I'm going to go with if application.function. I'm going to use function is number first. So I'm going to find a way to highlight the cells that have text within it. I'm going to use that for each cell in this number error range. If application.function is number, using the cell, is false, and is empty, the cell is empty, is false, then what we want to do, so again, is number is a test. Is number is a test that basically tests if a cell only contains numerical values, or if a cell is a number. And this is again a worksheet function. So if it tests that this is not a number, this will return true or false. So if this is false, and if the cell is also not empty, so I don't want them to highlight empty cells. So if the cell, this is a VBA function, so it's empty, doesn't need this at the very start here. So if the cell does not contain any values, just say it's equal to false, and then, or sorry, it's not an Excel function, is empty. There's probably something similar to it though, but I believe is empty isn't an Excel function. So there's definitely another value that you use for finding out the very same thing. But this one you're gonna just use in VBA. You can't use it in Excel. So I'm going to go with cell.interior color. Give me VB red. So the cell that I'm looking for, the interior color of that cell is going to be red if this is false. And then else if this is true, or is empty is true. Just in case of anything, I'm just going to say the cell interior color is white, or should still be white. And then I'm going to say and if, and then I'm going to go with the next. Or rather, next cell. And I should not forget my underscore after the cells here. So I don't think this should have any issues. So let's have a look now. So 1, all these number error values should just run as normal. I have a feeling it might be this I might have got to put this sort of full stop here. This comma here. To Excel variable, replace format, Excel replace format. So, okay. Remember that we have to include set. So we're going to set the number error range to equal this. So, if it's not a single cell, it's always good to put set in front of it as well. So, what does set mean? So, set is set. Set is a statement that assigns like any value key that says an object or a reference to a variable. So you can use set to equal worksheet.adds, and set will equal the worksheet that you added, and set will say that this variable is the worksheet that you added, as well as it completes the operation of adding that worksheet. So set, it almost assigns any object, any value to, or any value key to a variable. So since this number error range here is this gigantic range that can always change, just say set is equal to this number error range and put as so. So now we can just say and we can run it again, and it'll work just fine. So you can see all our number errors have just been cleaned out. If you haven't seen the first time, you can have a look and find that there's a couple of O's here, some B's, some 5's, so forth. And let's just say that I forgot a few decimal points here, and here. So you can simply just click this, remember error cleaner, and it'll clean everything like so. And if there is a value that hasn't been accounted for, such as maybe this 7 is a T, and maybe this 4 was a K, and maybe this 4 was a K as well, and we haven't accounted for that in our VBA code, we can simply just hit this run, and it'll clean everything as much as it can, and also highlight what it didn't account for either. So we can do the same thing here, and the same thing here. And instead of using a button or anything like that, we can instead use our keys to do it very, very quickly. So we can go to options, go to Shift N. So clean all my number errors. So Shift N, and let's just say let's run it again and say that we have T here. And look for a few fours that we turn into K's. K and K and T. Perfect. And K. Now we can run an Excel. Control Shift N. Cleans everything. Highlights what we missed. Control Shift N. Cleans everything. Highlight what we missed. Control Shift N. Cleans everything. Highlights what we missed. So that's it right there. Now I wanted to reverse engineer it to include to do it for all the letters, so all the names of products. You can see that there's a number of variables there that we can quickly change to, and these decimal points also taking up the way of spaces, but we don't have too much time right now. We're actually running out of time, so I'm going to leave it at that. Maybe in a later video I'll reverse engineer it to include all the numbers, but that's it. So using VBA to quickly do some VLOOKUP. Hold up 1 second. Using VBA to quickly do some VLOOKUP. We use VBA to quickly do some XLOOKUP. And then we use VBA to clean a number of errors found in our data sheet and also highlight it. So thank you for having me on this webinar. It's been great. My name is Chidi. Again, I work for UrBizEdge. If you want to really get better at VBA or increase your skills in this space, I'd say definitely contact us and see what we can do. But this isn't time for that really. This has just been another webinar that we host almost every Sunday that really puts out that's really used for networking and showing the skills that people can use and have been using and upscaling in the workplace. So this has been great. Thanks for having me, and I'm going to end this session now and go straight into Q&A. So yeah, I just don't need to do that here. Just hit Control Shift and Control Shift N and Control Shift N. That's perfect. So thanks for having me. Alright, so thanks so much for having me. Temibayo, Michael, and Anthony, thanks so much for coming here. So I'm wondering if you guys would have any questions or anything like that at all on the last 1 hour webinar session. Well, it was a lot, and it was also very, very quick, so I wouldn't expect too many questions. And we're also running out of time. There's another webinar happening very, very soon, so it's best to start preparing. Normally we end this session with 2 questions. One would be, as a data analyst coming through, as a new data analyst coming through, what would you recommend to that person starting off? And what I would definitely recommend is to start off on a learning platform like UrBizEdge. Oh, thanks, Anthony. You're a gem. So to start off on a learning platform such as UrBizEdge. UrBizEdge was the first place I learned how to use VBA. It's the first place I really started learning how to code and using Visual Basic for a lot of other things and doing Excel. So going on a learning platform is very, very nice as well, and I don't think there's any other better professionals to do it other than the people at UrBizEdge who's been doing it for years, and I've been doing it steady. So for any new person that wants to come in and really upgrade their skill set, get their certificates, get it done quickly, know all the basics very quickly, and really start off on their data analyst route. UrBizEdge for me right now would be the best place to do it. Anyone else can have different recommendations and thinking, but the best thing to do is always to start, and it's always to start with people that know what to do. And my data analyst journey has started, it's only begun, and I'm always learning more and trying to get better as well. So in terms of that question, I think that was the second question we normally ask. I'd say we'll leave it there since there is not a lot of time. So that is what I'd recommend for anyone wanting to start off in data analysis. You also sort of have an idea of how I started off too. I started off in this organization, and I'm continuing in this organization as well. So thanks a lot for having me. See you guys next Sunday.